Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a Monday morning live stream. I have a very exciting live stream for each and every one of you guys here today because Bitcoin is finally above the 200-day moving average and with a lot of momentum. Things are starting to look like we are not going to be headed back down to the bottom of the range like we previously thought on Friday we might have happened. In fact, things are looking much better, and I know it is crazy to think that even just a slight little deviance of Bitcoin's price, even though it's only a couple $1,000s, a couple percent higher, it is at a very pivotal moment in the price of Bitcoin and therefore all of the crypto markets. Now, there's a lot of reasons behind this. We'll talk about many of them, and then we'll get into my favorite sector, decentralized science. Yes, that's correct, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to discuss decentralized science. One of the DeSci projects, one of our favorite DeSci projects, has a very unique and interesting opportunity here to get a lot of publicity, and we are back. You're damn right, Beagle. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Beagle. Good morning, Morales. It looks like maybe I'm just misinterpreting this, but it looks like you might have a new profile photo, Morales. If that's the case, I like it. If it's just the case that I'm noticing it for the first time, I also like it. Good morning, John. Good morning, C90. Welcome in, everyone. Happy to have you guys all here with us on this beautiful day. As you guys come in, please do hit that like button on the live stream. It means a lot having that support, especially early in the live stream. It sends it out to some extra people on YouTube. John says, we need more Dynex VATs. Absolutely. Dynex, we need to get some attention going to. We got that bounce off the absolute bottom, yet structurally nothing has broken yet. Not until we are able to put in highs above the 50-day moving average here. That will show signs of strength that is sustainable in Dynex. I want to see us back above 12 cents personally. Personally, I would like to see us have those closes above 12 cents, but on the daily chart, we did get a pump that is so far holding up pretty damn nicely. Same profile photo, haven't changed it in a while. Okay, maybe I'm just noticing it for the first time. It looks good. I like it. It is unique. As far as the market is concerned, though, we come look at Bitcoin, and we rode that 200-day moving average for quite some time. It did look like we were going to get rejected by that moving average. If you look right here, everything was looking like we were going to get a retest down potentially to the low 70,000s, which would have been the prior top from the last range. But these closes are showing with some aggressive strength. If we zoom out a little bit more and go to the weekly, things look even better. We've had now 3 weekly candles that are pretty strong. I know it's Monday, so this candle is not even close to being closed yet, but it is the candle that's pushing us higher and breaking us out a little bit, and I am a big fan of that. I want to see a definitive move this week back up to the $90,000, $92,000 area for Bitcoin. Simultaneously, I would love to see us actually do get some closes down at the lower part of this range, the low 60s instead of the 61% for dominance. The weekly candles on dominance are looking very strong, meaning Bitcoin is still the only thing leading the charge. It is important to remember, however, and I really want you guys to get your notebooks out because this is one of the things that is causing the market to roar to life today, is that the Trump tariff effects and quantitative tightening is coming to an end. What I mean by that is on April 2nd, we get both the beginning of the end for quantitative tightening by the Fed, which is super exciting, meaning they're going to stop rugging liquidity out of the market. And we're going to get a lot of clarity on Trump's tariffs. And Trump has said that these tariffs are likely not going to be as bad as I think everyone was expecting initially. And so the market is roaring back to life here today. We come look at the daily chart for the NASDAQ. You can actually see that we are approaching that 200-day moving average, which means we're still below it, right? We're still below it, which is not out of the woods entirely yet. But if you look at the S&P, we are finally above the 200, and the Dow Jones never really got below the 200. So things are looking pretty strong, or I guess it did, but it broke above definitively here today. So a lot of that easing pressure or that easing uncertainty when it comes to the tariffs are starting to impact the market. And so people are realizing, hey, these tariffs probably are just a negotiation tactic, and things are not actually as bad as we initially expected. But that scare still, that scare everyone had gave a really good buying opportunity for those of us or those people out there that were willing to or able to take that risk. As far as Ethereum and Solana, we're not even close to out of the woods yet. Again, Ethereum is really, really down bad compared to where it was just a couple months ago. Just a couple months ago, we were looking really strong, but unfortunately, that fall, that sell-off in ETH all the way down to $1,700 has really been impactful. We're starting to climb back out, and hopefully we can put some higher highs in here and reverse that trend, but so far we have not been able to. I want to look at others for crypto. I want to see the total market cap of everything except for the top 10 coins to give a good understanding of how our altcoin bags are holding up. We did get a pretty aggressive break down below the trend line here, the one that we've been following all bull market, which is why your bags hurt so bad right now, is because overall everyone just sold off altcoins to get to safety, that safety either being cash or Bitcoin, right? They just wanted to get out of the risk on assets if we were going to enter into a trade war globally. It looks like it's more of a trade negotiation than a trade war. So that's been super exciting for the market. And we're starting to see a little bit of a bounce. Again, I'll feel a lot better when we can definitively on others break above this $280 billion area for total market cap. I want to see us back above the 200-day moving average, which is not that big of an ask, honestly. It's just going to show some solid signs of growth in the altcoin market. And then hopefully in this next leg up, right, we can actually break above the prior cycle's highs and start going parabolic like we do every cycle. It's just a matter of building and knocking on that wall, right? As far as others are concerned, you have to knock against that wall several times before it can finally break out. If we extend this, and I'm actually going to lower it just a little bit here so that it's more encompassing to the data points that we now have, you can see we're getting closer and closer to the end of this triangle. And at some point by the end of the year, this triangle no longer will exist. We will break out of that triangle. So hopefully we see that crazy big run up and can at least push upwards of $1 trillion. My expectations are that the others minus the top 10, so crypto market cap minus top 10, is to break upwards of $2.5 trillion. That's what I'm kind of expecting. We'll see if that actually ends up playing out and coming to fruition, but by the end of the year, I'm thinking we see a $2.5 trillion market cap for everything, again, minus the top 10. You come look at the last cycle, we saw an increase from the prior high of 500%. So if we assume some diminishing returns, an increase of maybe 250%, so half of it, that would put us upwards of 1.6 trillion. So not exactly at the 2.6 that I was hoping for, but we'll actually have to see what the real data ends up coming into. I think this cycle, while there's a lot more nonsense in the meme coin market, a lot of the projects that are out there are more utility driven than they ever have been. Because while price was in that bear market, and while we've been waiting for the economic cycle to allow for a price to break out on these risk on assets, we've seen them continue to build, and by building, they're inherently making themselves slightly less risky. Now, they're still very risky because this is crypto and you never know what's actually going to happen, but it's really nice to see the fundamentals improving so strongly on a lot of these projects. And in this last crash, really, I hope you guys have taken the opportunity to kind of look at your portfolios and see where your conviction lies and reward those that are continuing to build, right? Building at the end of the day is all that we can really watch to make sure that we're on the right spot, right? Glad to see Bill in number 10. We'll do lots for him, I know. Bill is finally in the top 10 for endorsed agents on Creator Bid. So that is super exciting. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And then we can go, I want to still revisit some of these charts and everything and kind of pay attention to it, but let's go look at Creator Bid. Creator.bid. Because, yeah, I agree to the terms and conditions. Because there you are. Bill is in the top 10 for endorsed agents. Again, let's go, guys. Everyone give some W's in the chat. Round of applause for getting Bill back up into the highlighted section on Creator Bid. Why this is so important is because Creator Bid, the token bid, is likely here going to be getting approved for listing on Binance in this week. This week, I believe in 2 days, we'll find out if they get listed or not. And so when they do get listed, and I know I'm taking a little bit of a jump with that assertion there, right? When they do get listed, I believe that these top 10 agents will see an extremely high surge in volume. And hopefully a lot of that volume is on the buy side. I think a lot of people can understand that line of thinking there. And so while I do want to secure a higher spot in this and get us more closer to the 1 million bid endorsement, it is good to see us in the top 10. So everyone, round of applause for yourselves. Good job, guys. All it took was one other project dumping out of the top 10. So they wanted to take that money and run. The scam projects are falling. Not saying definitively that was a scam, but it likely was a scam, the one that fell out of the top 10. So bullish morning. Absolutely, Solus. Welcome in. What's good, Vincent? Hi, DeSci moguls. Hell yeah, boy. Hell yeah. We are the DeSci creators. We are, really. I know it's kind of crazy to think. The genesis of a multi-trillion-dollar industry. We're here watching it from the very beginning. Decentralized science. Whether or not you guys are bullish on it in this exact moment doesn't matter. But ultimately, decentralized science is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity at hand, and we are here watching it unfold in real time at the absolute genesis of all of it. While it's still got so many things to prove, we can be here and aid our assistants or whatever it is that we have to offer to make this into a reality. We are here and can actually do it. So it's exciting. SpineDAO is on the way. Let's blow V1 Bioprotocol Launchpad. Hell yeah. That's going to be nice, man. SpineDAO. I could use some help from SpineDAO. Really, I just want some stem cells and peptides, but that's okay. So, very cool. Very cool. Market cap, pennies. Absolute pennies. This wouldn't be surprised, or don't be surprised when we recapture the previous all-time high for Bill. That's what I think is going to end up happening. I think that we will see that crazy run up in the AI agents again, and the ones that are continuing to build and make progress are the ones that are going to actually benefit. And because I'm the one who's making the progress, I can tell you we're making good progress. So we'll be there. But congrats to Bid on the upcoming listing. It's not 100% confirmed yet. We're taking a little bit of a speculative leap here, but you guys know that's my specialty, is taking those speculative leaps. And more often than not, they come true, especially when you're able to get and see between the lines on all of these data points. Not to jinx it though, knock on wood. Knock on wood. Now, as far as some information on decentralized science to talk about today, we see that 23andMe filed for bankruptcy. So last autumn, 23andMe agreed to pay $30 million and give 3 years of security monitoring to settle a lawsuit accusing it of failing to protect the privacy of 6.9 million customers whose personal info was exposed in the data breach. So if you guys don't remember, last year, 23andMe had a hack in which millions of people's genetic information was stolen and for sale on the black market, which is a grotesque failure of privacy and highlights the exact reason why we need to take data sovereignty so importantly. We need to really take it serious, and that's what 23andMe is failing on doing, and where Genomes is actually stepping up to the plate and providing a solution for people who suffered from this hack, right? Genomes DAO is like 23andMe on steroids with actual personalized health reports and everything. So this is a huge opportunity for Genomes to shine. And another thing is that all of this data that's being breached, well, hold on, let me back up. The CEO of 23andMe is stepping down. He's stepping down, yeah. Let me see. 23andMe files for bankruptcy, CEO resigns, fate of Americans' DNA now in the court-supervised sale. So they're selling the DNA. They're selling the genetic information, and I think 23andMe should try and step up, Genomes DAO should try and step up to the plate and purchase that genetic information and use it as a told you so lesson, you know? Use it as a moment to really showcase the power of blockchain when it comes to this kind of data privacy and security. I think it would be super advantageous for it to happen. I don't know that it'll end up happening. There's a slim chance, but at the end of the day, this is an opportunity that could be really, really special for all of decentralized science if we see that type of activity take place in which Genomes DAO gets to purchase that data. I think they can make a strong case for it as well. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to showcase to you guys is something that highlights the potential for genetic sequencing. So as long back as I can remember, back in like 2018, 2019, when I first started really getting into the weeds with investing, really like understanding what I was doing on a higher level, I developed out my thesis on why I think that genetic sequencing is going to be so incremental in medicine. And my idea here is that because of how cheap it's becoming to sequence a human genome, and because of the ability of AI integration into these sequencings that allow for us to kind of decipher the data that's coming out of these genetic sequencings, I think what's going to end up happening in the future is that you go to the doctor and they just swab your cheek, collect your DNA sample, and analyze it for any kind of diseases that pop out, any kind of development, right? Because we're starting to realize that if you get some of those biomarkers in the blood, you can actually catch disease onsets earlier and earlier. I think that because of how cheap it's getting to sequence DNA, that's going to become a reality. And this graph just kind of highlights it for everyone. So back in 2001, to sequence a human genome, it was $100 million. And it took years. It took years to sequence a human genome. Now, fast forward just 20 years, and we're seeing that to sequence a human genome, it costs less than $1,000, which is fundamentally breaking Moore's law, which I don't think anyone who knows anything about Moore's law is actually thinking that Moore's law sticks. Most of the super deflationary technological advancements that we're seeing, especially with AI, are breaking Moore's law fundamentally. And so genome sequencing is one of those things. Genetic testing is one of those things. So we're getting to be dirt cheap testing, which means everyone is going to be doing it in the near future. And Genomes DAO is positioned in a way to really take advantage of that in a huge, huge way, but for the betterment of society, because it's not just corporations buying your genetic information and selling it without your consent. It's you getting to choose if you want your sequenced DNA to be sold. And if you do, you get to make money off of it, which is gorgeous, gorgeous model. It's gorgeous. I mean, imagine like getting to, and I know this is a little bit aggressive and it's probably not going to be the case for people in the United States, but imagine being able to subsidize part of your income just by selling your genetic information to be used in different tests, to be used in different developments of therapies and medicine and stuff like that. Like research, real research being done on your genetic tests, on your genetic sequencing, and being able to actually get paid for it and compensated for it. I think it's a really cool thing. And these compensations are a lot of money. So it's something that I would really pay close attention to and potentially position yourself to support this and be on the wave when it does end up pulling into the station. That didn't really make sense, that ending there, but I will ride it and accept that. Let's surf the wave, ladies and gentlemen. Let's surf the wave. Like a lab rat. Like a lab rat, but without getting poked and prodded all the time. You just swab, send it into the lab, and then they just continue to use the genetics over and over again, the data over and over again. Got a lot of hair on my mic here, so I'm just pulling some of it off. Yes, Ruralis. I did see that. I wanted to talk about that as well here with D-Wave. Yeah, I guess let's do it then. Let's do it. So, D-Wave. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you guys have heard of D-Wave before. We're shifting gears a little bit here to talk about quantum computing. Let's get a 1 in the chat if you guys have heard of D-Wave. They are a company that's similar to Dynex, only they're listed on the stock market at a market cap of around $3 billion, I believe. Let's go actually look at what D-Wave is trading at. QBTS, D-Wave. Yeah, so they're chilling just over $3 billion in market cap right now at a per share price of $8.50. And so they are very similar to Dynex. And on March 20th, so 4 days ago, they posted this article on their investor relations page. So a little fun fact for people, if you're invested in a publicly traded company and you want to know information about them, if you type in the name of that company followed by investor relations, you will be brought to a page on their website that they are mandated to have that is an aggregate of all of the news and all of the filings that that company has done period. And so you can sift through it and get direct to the source information on stuff. And so when I was looking at them to see if it was worth investing into, right, so I could get a little breakdown of what it is that they're actually doing and how sustainable they are, I saw this. So D-Wave introduces quantum blockchain architecture featuring enhanced security and efficiency over classical computing. I sent it to Yeti to get his take on it, to hear a little bit of information about what he thinks with it, but new D-Wave research paper, Blockchain with Proof of Quantum Work, presents a novel blockchain architecture that leverages the company's quantum supremacy achievements. Research shows D-Wave's quantum computers could significantly reduce electricity needs to run blockchain. New proof of quantum algorithm presented in paper adds enhanced layer of security. The company successfully executes the first ever demonstration of distributed quantum computing deployed blockchain across 4 cloud-based annealing quantum computers in North America. So this is exactly what Dynex does, right? So they're making a claim here that is not 100% accurate, saying that they are the first ever demonstration of distributed quantum computing. So that is what Dynex does. D-Wave is just doing the same thing on a different scale, right? They're starting to get into it. Why not just merge with Dynex? I know. Well, I think the case here is that they probably don't know that what Dynex is necessarily doing. According to Yeti, though, they have had many conversations, so that's why I'm trying to get his take on it, his opinion on the article. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that other quantum computing companies are showing interest in blockchain, right? They're out here doing research to see how quantum computing, simulated quantum computing for the cloud, is able to actually implement and impact blockchain. I think that's really cool. I think it's opening a lot of doors on a larger scale, right? When you see companies the size of D-Wave start to pivot, or at least start to recognize something, you can have a little bit more confidence in your bags, just to put it simply. Just to put it simply, you can get a little bit more confidence in the stuff that you're holding, that it's on the correct path at least, right? We still don't have a clear as day picture as to what's going to happen. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the opportunity to scoop up Dynex at a $5 million market cap, $6 million market cap. If we had super clear roadmap from getting here to mass adoption for this type of technology, you wouldn't have the opportunities to scoop up some projects at these low prices. But because the road is bumpy and because there's not, it's like cloudy, right? You get these opportunities as long as you can take that risk and have the confidence to understand what the future looks like, right? Secretly, D-Wave is a subsidiary of BlackRock looking to get a one-up on DeSci. I mean, I'd be down. If that came true, Solus, if that was the truth, I could not imagine a more bullish turn of events, truly. If D-Wave was a subsidiary of BlackRock looking to get involved with decentralized science, we would be in a very, very good spot, which I do think, I don't think that's real, what you said, but I think that that type of activity could happen. I do think that, I know that BlackRock will inevitably get involved in decentralized science because there's money here, and it makes sense for them to do that. DeSci removes a lot of the friction in academia, and so why would you not try and pivot into something that is running more efficiently? You know, it just makes sense. Another thing I wanted to showcase to you guys here on a different subject, different topic here, is Kong Swap. So Kong Swap is starting to get a lot of life breathed into the chart here. You can kind of see the bottom back in March 10th. So a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had the bottom, and since then, Kong has skyrocketed 200%. So it's a very small market cap here at 20 million. The liquidity is not accurate. Okay, this is not the actual liquidity for Kong Swap. This is just what they have on Dex Screener because it's ICP and not all the coins are listed here with total accuracy because ICP is just such a unique blockchain. But we are seeing the price. The price action is real. And so Kong, I believe, is starting to make that push back up to all-time highs, which was above $100 million for Kong. I do think it'll be a quick move up back to these all-time highs, up around $60 million, and then hopefully we can start building out that floor and that support and moving higher. Kong Swap, if you're bullish on ICP, you should be bullish on Kong. Kong is, in my opinion, the #1 play, beta play, on top of Internet Computer. So if you think Internet Computer has a bright future, Kong Swap is set to take advantage of that and actually give some DeFi utility to ICP, something that the community has been begging for years and something that everyone knows is needed. Kong Swap is really pioneering that and being there to provide a lot of DeFi products to the ICP community. And so it's kind of like, it's not entirely monopoly, but it's a functional monopoly in my opinion, because nobody's really doing it with the UX and the UI that Kong is implementing, which is just going to make the onboarding process super easy and really just make it a solid project. And so you guys know I have a bag in Kong, so there's your disclosure warning. I am of course a holder of Kong, have been since the pre-sale, and I'm glad to see we're finally above pre-sale prices again. It's a double up, I believe. We're 100% higher than what the pre-sale was. And then we have a lot of other movement too, some other stuff happening in the market. Unfortunately, Bill is no longer listed on Dex Screener because the volume is so low right now. So in order to be listed on Dex Screener, you have to have certain volume requirements, and Bill just hadn't reached those. So he'll be back on whenever people trade him again. But if you guys noticed recently, when the downturn in the market, we've seen a lot of him coming and going. That's why a lot of the IPTs on the list, you go to the watch list here, these bio IPTs, they come and go as well, right? So right now, Hempy and Ovaria are not on the list because the volume is not there, but they will be back on the list when the volume gets there. Hempy is doing really well, actually. We're getting that bounce again. So a lot of the projects in DeSci are looking the same, where they look like they've hit that floor and they're starting to try and find that support and try and find that bounce, which is why it's important that we pay attention to the Bitcoin market, right? We pay attention to what happens with Bitcoin. If we can see a slow climb over the next couple weeks back up to all-time highs for Bitcoin, then we should expect a slow climb on a lot of the altcoins back up to all-time highs as well. So very exciting, very fruitful. The time in the market is progressing forward nicely. Did that make sense? The time in the market is progressing forward nicely. I guess it kind of made sense, but wasn't the most smooth of statements, so I shall take this pause to drink a sip of water. Let's do some charting. I want to do some charting. You guys hit me with some of the projects that you've been paying close attention to. Let's take this time and look at some of the strongest movers in the market so that we can see who are the winning horses right now. In this bounce in the market, the projects that are moving up the quickest and the most aggressive are likely to be some of the winners in this next leg. So let's do some analysis here. Let's analyze the market together while we have 20 people chilling in the live. Speaking of 20 people chilling in the live, I would appreciate it if each of you guys liked this live stream. We go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to talk about decentralized science and the broader crypto markets. So really, come through, enjoy the live stream, but show that you enjoy it for me, for the sanity. Oh man. Like, for example, Ethereum is showing a good amount of strength here on the hourly. We're seeing some strong moves. That's bullish. That's a good sign. We also know that Ethereum's supply on exchanges is super low. So that's going to be indicative of an aggressive move when money does flow in, because there's not a lot of supply up for grabs. We also know that a lot of people are shorting the crap out of Ethereum, which means when it does start moving, you're going to get those sudden teleportation moves where it just goes straight up because people have to cover their shorts quickly. Same thing with Solana here. Solana is moving a lot on the hourly. A lot. It's trying to break out of this downtrend, right? Hopefully we can see Solana kind of go upwards of 160 here shortly, and then push up in the next day or two up above 180 again to show that this is a good reversal. But those quick snaps are what's important to pay attention to. Same with Jupiter. Jupiter is just continuing to ship. Jupiter being that DEX aggregator for Solana. They just continue to ship. So even though they've sold off substantially here, they are continuing to ship products, right? The fundamentals are getting better. Now, it's not been a super strong move here, and so that's why you got to pay attention to them and see who has the strongest of moves. But most of the altcoin market just looks the same. It is brutal. It is brutal. Um, you guys know I'm bullish on Hempy, and we have some cool news here. This is huge if true. This is huge if true. I'm not going to play it with sound because I know that it never actually works, but look at what's unveiled at the White House here. Oh my god. They're hanging a photo of the Hempy mascot at the White House. That's crazy. That's crazy. If this doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. Just for fun. Good content. Look at that engagement rate. 457 views, 43 likes. That is some good engagement. It's just a funny moment, capitalizing off of a recent thing that happened, right? You guys all saw that photo of Trump unveiling the Bitcoin white paper at the White House, even though it wasn't, and it went crazy viral. It was actually just the Declaration of Independence or whatever it was. But very funny. Haha. Good content. I'm curious what Bjard looks like. $267,000 market cap. Yikes. That looks dead as a doorknob. Still holding strong. I am, that is. Chart's not, but I am. Waiting for those spikes. Again, we go over it all the time, but these very small DeSci plays will pop like crazy when DeSci gets that attention cycle again in the narrative. And we know that the market likes DeSci because when they have given that opportunity to get involved, they have ate it up. We've seen aggressive moves when people do cycle their attention back to DeSci. So position yourself accordingly if you want to. Not financial advice. Of course, I'm just a random guy on the internet who makes content. Good morning, Zaj. Welcome. See, yeah. Genome sees it. Don't delete your data, but vault it in Genome. Gaining certified ownership, end-to-end encryption, security and safety, and honest compensation whenever your genome is being used for research. Super bullish. Do not just delete your 23andMe data. Actually do something with it. We're also seeing some talk about Athena DAO's fertility course, so that's cool. 6-week-long journey learning the latest in fertility and menopause from leading clinicians and scientists. They are now minting NFTs to verify this achievement, which gives exclusive access to Season 2. Interesting. So they're doing some interesting momentum moves here. What's the CA for Genome? Let's go look at CoinGecko. Oh look, it knows where I want to go now. DeSci market cap up 8% on the day, back above $700 million. That is very cool, very exciting. What's this? Blue Zell. Interesting. Let's look for Genome. This one right here. The ticker is Genome, the elongated one, not ticker Gene, but ticker Genome. So I shall give you guys this because I'm not going to paste the CA, but rather just paste the link to the CoinGecko. And then you can go get it because the CA is right here. It's a base contract right there. Let's grab that. Let's go back here. Let's paste it into the search bar so we can go look at the charting. Market cap 6 million, liquidity 720,000. Click on that, up 8% on the day. And yeah, looking the same as all the other projects. So all the way down at the lows here at that $6.5 million market cap. It was as high as $63 million in market cap. So it's got about a 10x to get back up to all-time highs. Again, Genome's DAO, in my opinion, is a $500 million market cap project, chilling down here at 6 million. So what's good, Jonathan? Today I will buy some Data Lake. Bullish. Let's go look at Lake as well. I have not been looking at Lake. I haven't looked at any charts. Data Lake, $2.3 million, chilling at 1.5 cents. That's crazy, or 0.0015. That's crazy, 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 crazy. I have a heavy bag in Data Lake. Again, this is one of those projects I think is really worth $1. I know, it sounds nuts. I think Data Lake is worth $1, and it's chilling down here at 0.0016. So I'm hanging on tight to my bag here, very tight. And this move was nice, but then we've just sold off because everyone just gets nervous and just dumps their bags. But you come look at the chart doesn't look that bad if you look at this. We're at the bottom of the range, and RSI has been holding very steady despite a continued sell-off. So RSI looking pretty good for a bounce here soon. And the charting here looks really nice for a bounce. So I would expect if we continue, again, all of this is dependent on if Bitcoin can hold this move and make a quick push back above into the area of contention up here. If so, I would expect some strong bounces in a lot of these DeSci projects. See some 300, 400% gains in a lot of them. We'll see. Only Eagle AI is above the previous lows with the trade dividends opening today. I'm extremely bullish. I know, Stare. That's a good point, actually. We should talk about Eagle AI as well, because they are making some really good moves from the fundamental analysis. I'm also curious to see what they say the market's going to do today. If its trading algorithm thinks we're going to continue to get that push or not. And then Cryptopreneur says, pay attention to AB4AD, AMA with Alzheimer's disease now. Okay, thank you. AB4AD. This is, let's go here, search it for here. I think it's one of the AB4AD is one of the bio IPTs. Yep, 22% gain today. Nice. $360,000 market cap, so super tiny. Oh, I thought that was the move. I was like, damn. All right, cool. So there is time here in this. Get out of this. What is this, favorites? Look at that. So it had that pop, drop, and lock. Hopefully that was the bottom, and it looks like there's a good possibility that it was. We're already up 120% off the bottom. Have a long way to go to get back up to the previous highs. This is one of the IP tokens though, so things are strong. What are you buying other than Dynex? Beagle, it's a good question. I've really just been holding on to my bags right now. I did not have extra cash. All of my cash got deployed already before this correction. So I really got hit hard on this correction. Like when Bitcoin was right here, I was deploying all my cash like crazy because I was under the impression that we were going to see that move up, and then we did not. We in fact saw that quick move down. So I went all in on the market, not in a good spot. I should have waited a little bit. So I have not really been buying anything right now. I've just been hanging on tight to what I do have. Any of the like lost money on rug pulls that I had, I funneled into Dynex, and that was it, because all the other bags that I had, I felt were in really good positions. And Dynex, I needed to get more. That was plain and simple on that one. I did not have enough Dynex. Now, obviously, I feel like I still want more, but I don't have any more money to buy, so I'm chilling, waiting for the run. How dependent would coins like Genome and Research be on slingshot leverage off Ethereum? If ETH sits out this run, can they still do multiples? Yes, but it's going to be significantly less, right? It's going to be significantly less. So if Ethereum runs, people who hold Ethereum will have excess money and will go look for ERC20 tokens to scoop up. And then you'll get a lot of base tokens running, you'll get a lot of ETH tokens running, you'll get a lot of Polygon token running, and you'll get a lot of Arbitrum and all of those layer 2s. Those tokens native to those will start running as well. If we don't get ETH participating a lot in this rally, then you're not going to see the same type of moves, but they are small enough that you will still see some large scale moves on them. Like Research Coin is going to $1 billion, no question in my mind. If Ethereum goes up to 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, then you're 10,000 maybe, then you're seeing Research Coin, in my opinion, going to like $10 billion in market cap. If ETH goes to $10,000 per ETH, Research Coin's going to 10 bucks. Or 100, what is that, 100 bucks or 10 bucks? Let's not misspeak on this one. So Research Coin, $37 million market cap at 32 cents. So 100 million would be $1, $1 billion would be $10, and 10 billion would be $100. So if ETH gets that crazy rally up to $10,000, which is not off the table at all, then I think we see Research go into something like $100. I think we see Data Lake go into something like $1.50, maybe even $2. I think we see Bill going up to infinite dollars. I don't want to say price just because I'm working on it and I don't think I'm supposed to, but we see him go to infinity. You see those moves just get exacerbated, you know. Would sell my house to secure more DeSci positions. Damn, the conviction. The conviction there, Solus. The conviction. The coins will still run though, Trip, even if ETH doesn't go on that crazy run. But the runs will be way better if we can get bounces on the altcoins like this. You know, they will be way better. So I want to see Solana pushing back above $200. I want to see ETH pushing back above 4,000. I want to see ETH holding above $4,000. That will be a crazy, crazy rally. And hopefully, like, in my opinion, it will happen. In my opinion, it will happen. Is it this month? Probably not. Is it next month? Maybe. Is it the month after? Who knows? It will likely happen, where ETH pushes back up above $4,000 again. I would not like to be sidelined for that, which means if I have to sit through some instability in the short term, I will happily do that. I will do that with a smile on my face because I know what comes on the other side of it, because we've been through it before. It's not a guessing game. We've been through it. We've been through it so many times. And it's like when everyone seems the most bearish, it's the time to scoop. When people are publicly saying, oh, I love watching Tesla's stock price go down, for example, like what's his name said, Tim, I think, whatever his name is, he like went publicly saying he downloaded a stock app so that he could watch Tesla's stock price fall. And he literally said that at the exact bottom. It's like, yeah, when that kind of stuff starts happening, which is what was just happening for across all social media, that's when the most opportunity is in the market, always. It's consistently like that. And so really, really, these moves happen quickly. And I think when a lot of people are not expecting, because Wall Street has a lot of money sidelined. They're just waiting for uncertainty to go away. And a lot of uncertainty is starting to ease up around these tariffs on April 2nd. So April 2nd is going to be tariff day. April 2nd is also going to be when the Fed starts QT, or stops QT. When they ease out of it, they're not entirely stopping it, but they are toning back on how much money they're sucking out of the market every single month. They've been doing it to the tune of like $50 billion every single month, and they're toning it back by like 20 or 30 billion. And they're telling us that they're going to cut rates, and Trump is out here saying, I want rates lower. You think Trump's not going to get what he wants? I think that's silly. I think he's going to get what he wants, and I think that these tariffs are just a negotiation tool, and the market just freaked out because they didn't expect Trump to just start saying stuff. But at the end of the day, you should always expect for Trump to say random stuff, because that's one thing he is really good at. And one of those things is tariffs. And he has now come out saying they're not going to be as aggressive as everyone expected, which is giving that breath into the market again. Wall Street has a lot of money sidelined. They do. And they're just waiting for some clarity. And that clarity is on the horizon once again. ETH is at bear market prices right now. Very concerning. I bought around 1,800 years ago. Yeah, I know. That is, like, you come look at these pricings, this price history for ETH, and it is super painful to think that you could have scooped up a bag of ETH down here. Like, really, think about this. You could have bought a bag of ETH right here on a dip in May of 2021, and now 1,400 days later, you have made no money. And yet at the time, it looked like a really good idea because you had just seen a 50% decrease in price. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to buy the dip. And yeah, it does. You did buy the dip, and it makes sense. But now you fast forward 5 years, and you're still at the same, or 4 years, you're still at the same price. That's painful. That is very painful. But it does build resilience. It makes you work for your bag emotionally. The same kind of stuff happens all the time. All the time. You go look at Costco, for example, okay? Silly example, but it really does highlight it, in my opinion. It really does allow for some understanding of what it's like to be an investor. Imagine the same thing took place here for Costco, okay? You're like, oh, Costco just had this crazy flash crash, dropped 57%. That's nuts. That is nuts. And so you buy a bag of it, right? And you buy it at $33. And you fast forward 3,000 days and you're only up 15% on that initial purchase. If all you did was just hold on your bag, you would be really pissed off because there were so many opportunities during that moment. But if you then capitulated at that moment, you missed out on some of the craziest returns of any public company. Really, really crazy returns. Along with the dividends that Costco gave out. I'm pretty sure Costco gives out dividends. I don't know entirely, but it's just periods of uncertainty. When you zoom out, it looks fine, right? Nothing looks that bad at all on this chart. But when you zoom in, you realize that sometimes 1,000 days might go by without major moves. And you just have to be okay with that or not invest. That's really the only two options in my mind. You either be okay with periods of not much going on, where you just work, do your day, and dump money into something you believe in, and then wait, or you don't do that and you just don't get to really reap the reward on the end of it. Same thing with Tesla. Everyone wants to find the next like Tesla style investment, and you go back and you realize that Tesla, you could have bought Tesla back here in 2013 and held on to it for 2,000 days and made no money. And if you got scared out in this last little shake off before the rally, you miss out on 1,500% gains. You know, that would suck. That would suck. So the same thing applies to Ethereum here, in my honest opinion, where if you bought it a while ago and you've been holding on to it, waiting for that time to break out, and then you finally get scared away in one final shakeout before the rally, you just don't end up getting to reap those rewards, you know? You didn't end up making it. And that's okay, not everyone does, but hopefully you guys are different and can make it. Jonathan says, next Tesla is Dynex. Hell yeah, boy. I think Dynex is worth as much as Tesla. I really do. I don't think it's going to just skyrocket there. I think it's going to take a couple decades to get there, but that is crazy returns. 5 million into a trillion, I think is possible. I think is more likely than not if we get a play out and Dynex is one of the main competitors. If you fast forward 10 years from now and Dynex has, like they're hoping, 50% of market share on quantum computing on the cloud, you would assume the price is much, much higher. Like much higher. We'll see. What makes Data Lake so special? It's special because it has a place in my heart. It's special because I hold a bag of it. Data Lake is one of the first projects that I ever called out on my page that did really well. They are a powerhouse in DeSci. I know that the chart has just been trending sideways, right? This range-bound chart between these two levels here. 1,000% difference between these two levels, by the way, even more. It's almost 2,000% difference between these two levels. But Data Lake, let's go see what Data Lake has been up to, actually. So obviously they're working on their Lake.fun platform. They're continuing with their podcasts. They are halfway there as of March 13th, which was 11 days ago, to funding their platform, or not their platform, but their next research study here. Lake.fun is the funding platform. They're very similar to Molecule and Bio, right? So it's adding competition to the marketplace, which I think is super healthy, super advantageous for DeSci to get different viewpoints on how to conduct raises and everything. So they're looking to raise 500,000 Lake for this project. There's still 33 days left. They're doing the same type of thing that Molecule and Bio are doing. Give me 69k Bitcoin, I'm ready. I am not ready, Steven. Get that bearishness out of here. Mods, remove him from the chat. Remove him from the chat. Uh-oh, I dropped a sharp piece of metal. Hold on. Okay. Just playing with a sharp piece of metal and I dropped it and I'm barefoot and I don't want to step on that. Let's go look and see what they've been up to. I have not paid crazy close attention to it, so I don't really know what they've been doing right now to set themselves apart. They got their Data Lake app. They have their own L3 on top of Arbitrum for data sovereignty in the healthcare system. They've made lots of partnerships over in Europe, and they are continuing to try and just monetize patient data and give consent back to the patients as well, so that they actually get a say in who uses their data. So it's the same data sovereignty story as Genome, except they have multiple layers to it and they have their own blockchain. Omnichannel consent collection, blockchain-based audit trail, questions and surveys, patient portal is coming soon, so that'll be cool. It's like the next wave of telehealth almost, except done in a more advantageous way, in my opinion, right? Because we saw like teledoc take off and telehealth that way take off, and I think that it just wasn't ready. But we're getting to the point now where the market is ready, and so data lake's there to take advantage of it. Non-profit and independent research, and then you get starter and growth. I haven't seen this before. So different pricing models. $750 a month or $69 a month. They did that on purpose. Unlimited operations, on-premise hosting, custom features, integrations. So these are like for hospitals to look at for large-scale companies. Let's look at the news. They haven't had news in a little bit here. We're thrilled to announce that the first ever project on Lake.Fun has been launched today. Cool. Dermatological AI algorithm study on Lake.Fun. Cool. Say hello to Lake.Fun. Cool. So this tells me that they're hard at work right now. They've not been making a crazy amount of posts in news and everything, which tells me that they have their heads down, just taking advantage of the quiet time in the market like I did. So I think it's good. I think it's good. We'll have to wait and see what they have been working on. Ooh, look at all these notifications. Turns out the token was the disease. That's sad. I wonder how are they doing? Why does everyone always get so sad, so mad? Look at that. Cures is doing well. This has got more of the liquidity to it, so let's check this one out. Yeah, this doesn't look bad at all. This is very standard. We got that pop, drop, and lock it. It's just people who jump into stuff without realizing what they've jumped into and then just complaining. And it's always funny to see them, but if you can't handle it, you can't handle it. What's good, Dr. Crypto? Welcome in. Salami, Soul Ami. My buddy told me that Noble is migrating. Can you confirm this? I'm banned from their Telegram group. They are way too liberal with those bans. So yes, let's talk about Noble for a second. So you guys are well aware that Noble Blocks has had some problems with that hack early. No pop though, rip. They had some problems with that hack early into the existence of Noble Blocks, right? And that was tied to Hedgie, right? The token was and is tied to Hedgie. And so they had those issues with the hack, and now, fast forward, they're not too pleased with how Hedgie's been aiding them at all. And so Delroy and the rest of their team is trying to pivot away from Hedgie. And by doing that, they've decided that they are going to issue a new Noble token that is fundamentally separated from the Hedgie contracts and everything, right? It's still going to be on Ethereum, and you do not need to, listen closely, you do not need to connect your wallet anywhere to get the token, all right? It is simply going to be airdropped to you based on a series of screenshots of who is holding how much Noble, okay? So do not fall for scams. Do not, all right? This is not going to be that hard, guys. Spread the word. Do not fall for scams, please, for the love of God. Just wait patiently. Do nothing. Do nothing. And they are going to take several screenshots of Noble holders and then reward people with an additional set of Noble based off of how much you hold. If you hold more than 5 million Noble, I believe you get a 50% bonus. And if you hold less than 5 million Noble, you get a 25% bonus. Last I heard at least. We'll see if that's actually what they end up going through with, but that's the last I heard. And so just hang on tight, and then you'll get a new Noble. Same everything though. Don't worry about anything. It's not a new chain. It's not a new anything. It's just a new contract address. That's all. Which I think will be good because it should allow for Delroy and the team to actually utilize more freely some of the tokens that they have in Treasury rather than have to just be stuck with Hedgie. Like a lot of people asking for those token unlocks and everything, right? Remember, a lot of people had to email Delroy and the team in order to get their Noble from after that hack, even though ultimately nobody should have gotten any Noble after the hack, right? Because it's just like, never mind, I won't go on that rant. But, no, you know what, I will. Unfortunately, okay, guys, I know that there's a lot of blame to be put out there, right? Shitty things happen all the time, especially in crypto. Especially in crypto. Hacks and shitty things happen all the time. There was, how long before the hack? How long before the hack? This is the daily chart, okay? And I know that not everyone is paying attention 24/7, but there was 19 days before the hack. So people had almost 3 weeks to claim those tokens. And in that 3-week period, the only people who got hurt from this hack, directly got their tokens stolen, were people who did not claim their tokens. And so if you guys are some of the people who did not claim their tokens, know that I'm not personally attacking you. This is not a personal thing. This is just me saying, ultimately, there is some accountability that needs to be held. And I had to give up a large chunk of my tokens to give to the community so that people who didn't do what they were supposed to do didn't suffer the consequences as much as what they would have. Same with a lot of the unlocks for the project that happen pretty soon, I think. In the next couple days, they're happening. Those unlocks for the team, a lot of them are getting distributed for people who just didn't claim their tokens. And I know it's unfortunate for people, whatever, but ultimately, this migration now is happening to try and help everyone even more so that they can actually give away those tokens and give them back to the people who got hurt. So it's another sacrifice that's happening in order to just make people happy, when ultimately this hack never would have even happened if all of the people who were involved claimed their tokens. We would be in a much different timeline if everyone had just gone and claimed after the presale. None of this would have happened. But so be it. I'll get off my soapbox now. My wife left me after Noble got hacked. I told her it was your fault. Oh my god, Steven. You guys crack me up. Okay, let's look at Eagle AI. You're welcome, Solami. You're welcome. Eagle AI, chilling at a wonderful 23.5 cents per token. Let's go ahead and Eagle AI. I hope this is the actual. Oh, screw off. Let's go the safe route. Let us go the safe route. I want to go see what they say for the move in the market here. Okay, so this is what Eagle AI is saying for Bitcoin. A little bit of a wave action here. Not super, I wouldn't expect that to be super accurate. LOL, drained. No. So they think a little bit of a sell-off and then a little bit of a pump, but effectively Eagle AI right now for Bitcoin is saying that we're just going to get some sideways action. And again, they have a very accurate prediction model for trading and everything, so I take it with a grain of salt as always, but ultimately this is a pretty strong tool to use for short-term moves. Now, when the chart looks like this, obviously it's not going to be 100% accurate. They're not just going to have the same little pattern play out over and over again. And if they do, I will be very shocked. Let's go look at ETH. Same type of thing. Just a slow little bleed here for the next 12 to 24 hours. But as far as Eagle AI is concerned on a fundamental level, they are starting that dividend yield. Remember how I made that post about the dividends for Eagle AI over on X? Well, they are starting that dividend soon. So if you guys hold Eagle AI, you're going to want to stake it, you're going to want to lock it up, and you're going to want to take advantage of that dividend because it's profits that they're making off of partnerships with hedge funds that they will be paying out to people who have held and staked their Eagle AI tokens. So if you like Eagle AI, it makes sense to stake them and get paid a little bit of money for having held so long. Now, I forgot I have a call 2 minutes ago, so I have to go. Your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully this was worth investing it into. I appreciate all of you guys being here with me. And let's really, really hyperfixate on making sure that our bags don't sell off here. Let's do everything we can to really push the narrative of decentralized science and advance the world.